Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I'm Mandy. In today's video, we're talking about your favorite topic, cold calling. Oh, I know you don't like it. I want to kind of reframe cold calling for you today because I'm going to share with you how somebody reframed cold calling for me like 15 years ago. And then I also want to share with you two cold calls that were made, one by myself and another one by my colleague, and you will see the positive impact that both of them had on the people that we were calling. So let's start with reframing cold calling. About 15 years ago, I wrote a screenplay. I was working with a screenplay writing consultant, and when we were getting towards the end of working together, he said, okay, Mandy, your next step is to get on the phone and to start calling producers and studios and agents to try to get your story read. And I was like, well, you know, I believe in the story, I really like it, but I'm not going to make these calls. I'm not comfortable making cold calls. He's like, well, you need to get over your discomfort because these people need to hear from you. You have a great product, a great story, and they're tasked with finding really good stories. So you need to pick up that phone and call them. They need your help. And when he said that to me, I was like, you know what? He's right, and I love to help people, so maybe I should go ahead and call them like he's suggesting. So I went ahead and made all kinds of calls, and I got pretty high up the chain there, but I never did sell the screenplay. I'm not going to forget about it. I could still sell it someday, but how does that apply to real estate? It's the same thing. When you're calling people, you're all thinking, you know, I'm going to be this like creepy salesperson. I'm just in it for myself, and they're going to see that, and they know I just want to make commission. You guys, that's not what this is about. It's about helping people, and you're good, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to earn money and earn commission, but if you keep money second and people number one, people first, it's going to work really well for you. If you come across as being helpful, people will hear that in your voice. And let me show you two examples of that. I was making my calls about a year into the pandemic. The vaccines had just come out, and I reached an elderly lady. We were talking about the vaccines, and she was saying, you know, I really want to get one, but I don't know where to go around here. And she was not very comfortable using the internet. So I went ahead and I looked online, and I went to the local Walgreens and CVS's, and I tried to find the closest location to her. And we got an appointment for her. She was grateful. She was like, I'm so glad you called, Mandy. I'm so glad we were able to get that vaccine. Now that never would have happened if I didn't pick up the phone. Do you agree? And let's just put real estate aside. We had not listed our home for sale. We still might, I'm not sure, remains to be seen, but even if we don't, I don't care. It felt so good and so gratifying helping her on that day, helping her get the vaccine, because I know how important it was to her. I was in the right place at the right time, and I made a difference, and it felt really, really good. So these calls are so much more than real estate. They're inserting yourselves in people's days and possibly their lives and seeing how you can help them. Now the second example I want to share with you is my colleague. He was making phone calls one day, doing some training calls, and myself and somebody else were listening, and he reached a man who was going through a divorce, and the man had kids. And he was actually quite friendly considering the circumstances, but you can tell he was down. And you know, the call opened up with, can we do anything for you? Are you looking to sell? And the man was like, oh, no way, I'm going through a divorce right now. I can't even get, you know, my attorney to call me back. And he was really down. Luckily, my colleague had been through a divorce, and my colleague has kids, so he could totally relate to this man. And when they connected, it was just really, really great, because you could tell that my colleague was exactly what that man needed at that moment in time. If I had called him, I never would have had the impact that he did, because he could relate to him. He gave him advice, kind of share with him what he had gone through with his divorce, his experience with his attorney, and the guy loved it. And he closed the conversation with, you know what, man, I know things are tough right now, but let's go get a beer sometime. And it just was very heartwarming to hear this in the background, because this guy needed a friend, and my colleague was that friend to him in the moment. And if he had never picked up the phone and made his calls that day, they would have never connected. So a lot more can come out of these calls than just real estate transaction, guys, and maybe making a difference in somebody's day. You're there to help. You're there to provide a service. People are always number one, money is number two. And if you don't make the money, at least you'll make a connection with someone, and that can mean a lot to you. So now, how do you feel about cold calling? Have I changed your mind just a little bit? If so, get on that phone, get yourself to make just 10 dials today. The next day, double up. The next day, another 10, and see how far you can go. I'm telling you, you will make progress in your business if you just feel a little bit of discomfort, start making the calls and making connections with people. It will happen. This is not rocket science. Anybody can do it. You can do it. So just give it a try, okay? If you got value out of this video, please leave me a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you for being here.